Did you find yourself in this struggle?
Absolutely.
And then you began to look out, where are the answers?
Right. And that's what happened. That's what actually started this book. It wasn't that I just wanted to write on something and I was looking through a number of lists of topics at all. No, what happened was sexual sin had been the biggest thing in my own life, that nothing made me feel farther from the Lord. Nothing eroded my sense of strength. Nothing hindered my ministry as much as sexual sin. I was saved as a 15-year-old, but still throughout high school and into college, I was still tied up with these things and would struggle with lust and masturbation and pornography. And every time I would feel so horrible about it. And every time that I would fall into one of these sins, I would write on my calendar, the last time. And if you go through my calendars throughout the last 10 years.
Not going to do this again.
Yeah.
Last time.
Right. And I've probably got the last time written 200 times over the last 10 years or so. And it wasn't working. And what I finally, one day I woke up and I was just fed up with sin. And I was fed up with the stronghold that this was having in my life. And I thought, God has given me victory over so many things. I can't imagine that He's just left me out here in the cold.
Yeah.
Left me out. There's got to be something that He has for me, for single guys to live pure. Yeah. And it's got to be in the Word.
If I'm not supposed to do this, if I'm not supposed to engage myself in these activities, okay, then God, there must be a source greater than myself to be overcoming,
right.
to overcome this. More than just, I'm not going to do it again, I'm not going to do it again, I'm not going to do it again.
Right. I mean, 1 Corinthians 10:13 says, God has not given us more temptation than we can overcome, and He will provide a way out. So what is that way out? If He promised that He's not given us more temptation. So I woke up that day, it was August 2nd, 2002, and I woke up just fed up with sexual sin, and I decided, Lord, I'm going to look into Your Word, I'm going to pray, I'm going to take this whole day, and I'm going to find what is the answer, God. I'm determined. Sort of like Jacob wrestling with God. I took hold of God, and I said, I'm not going to let You go till You answer this cry. Yeah. And so I spent the whole day in the Word and praying.
All right, now let me jump in here.
Okay.
Had you been talking to others before, looking for the answer, before you came to this desperate place of, God, I got to find it in You?
Okay. I had been involved in accountability relationships throughout high school, and this now was a year into college. So I had been in those relationships, and they helped quite a bit.
Okay.
And that's definitely one of the biggest, there's a chapter on accountability and mentorship in the book, and that's definitely one of the biggest things we can do to live pure. But still, there was so much more that I had to learn.
Okay, so you're going to God.
Right. And so this day
I spent desperate.
Absolutely. And one of the first things that it did, and the Lord just met me and answered me in an incredible way that I can't even describe. And it started off with, believe it or not, the verse right before that, 1 Corinthians 10:12, it says, so if you think you're standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. And one of the biggest things, there's a chapter in Sex and the Single Guy called Sprinting the Marathon. And probably one of the biggest problems and one of the biggest reasons why I kept falling and was having no victory is because I was running, and every time I would fall, I'd say, show me, I want to discover the way I can snap my fingers and be through with this struggle, be done with it forever. I want to, how can I rid myself of this temptation forevermore?
Once and for all.
And the fact is that the temptation will end, not when I achieve something, some level of spirituality, not when I get married. The temptation will end when I see Jesus Christ face to face and enter into glory. It won't end. So that's one of the biggest things I had to realize, is that my struggle will continue, that Christ has given me victory over sin, and that's one of the biggest things.
So don't build for yourself a false hope where I have conquered, I have arrived.
Right.
Read this book, Sex and the Single Guy. Once you got that down, you're set for life.
Right, and that's one of the things. This is not just a prescription that they're going to, you can't read this book. You can't read the entire Bible and then you're going to be free from temptation.
Yeah.
Every guy, and I'm sure you would agree, even as a married person, you're still tempted every single day.
Yeah.
And so the thing is to realize to take off our sprinting shoes and put on our long distance shoes. And a better way to think of it is the battle that we need to strap up with the right armor that's going to help us win for the long haul, and realize what is going to defeat all these lies and all the temptation of Satan every single day, and the temptation from ourselves, from our own flesh. And so that's one of the first things I had to realize. And you know, it promises, there's a verse in the Bible that actually asks the question, how can a young man keep his way pure?
Yes.
It actually asks that question, how can a young man keep his way pure? And the answer is by living according to your word. Psalm 119:9. It says, verse 11, thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against thee. And so, and that's one of the other huge principles, is that we hide God's word in our heart. But I can get into more of that later.
Yeah. So you found yourself at this desperate place, and all of a sudden, God, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to wrestle this thing through. So you begin to find out, number one, is that don't think for yourself for a moment that all of a sudden you're going to snap your fingers and this is going to go away. And that was probably the thing that you were first looking for, was the formula of how I might rid myself from ever having to deal with this again. And God says, no, that's not the way it works. Okay, so during your struggle, what other principles were you beginning to, mind and discover and find out that changed the paradigm of your way of thinking?
There's a couple of things. One of them, the biggest principle is 2 Timothy 2:22 in the New Living Translation. It says, run from anything that causes youthful lust. And so one of the things we do, Bob, is that we make our lives so much more difficult. And this is another reason why we're talking about sexual purity in our minds, the whole thing.
Yeah.